You're now watching
Kid Glove.
Club is sponsored by Empowered to Win and the Boys and Girls Club of the Midlands.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Welcome to Kid Gloves at the Boys and Girls Club Midlands Tech. I am Jamari.
I am Josiah, and our guest today is Mr. Charles Manley, and our topic today is gun violence.
What do you think is going on with guns and young people these days?
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here with Kid Gloves today. And the first question you ask is, what do I think is going on with guns and young people? And I think it boils down to the music that's being listened to, peer pressure, and just confusion and anger in young kids don't have role models in their lives.
Can you share some reasons why some kids might be getting involved with guns?
I think the lack of knowledge about how dangerous guns are. I think the music that they're listening to that talks about guns and using them in a violent way. And also peer pressure from friends and family members who just don't know how unsafe guns are.
If you were in charge, what ideas do you have for making sure kids don't use guns in a dangerous way?
If I were in charge, I would make classes in schools mandatory, hunting classes and gun safety classes mandatory.
So do you think involving kids in classes like ROTC in those Army classes might also help?
It may help. ROTC doesn't really talk about the use of guns, so that really won't solve the issue with kids and guns.
What can schools and communities do to help prevent this from happening?
Well, number one, see something, say something, and also the schools and communities can support the mandatory programs for hunting classes and gun safety classes in schools.
Do you think there should be rules or laws about guns for young people?
I don't think young people should have handguns. I don't think young people should have or be taught to use anything other than maybe a hunting rifle, something that's recreation, but again, it goes back to gun safety.
What about safety in the household and parents being careful around children?
If parents have guns in the house, those guns should be secured and locked away in a safe at all times.
I think if there wasn't no gun, how would people get them?
Well, people have always been able to get guns. That's a problem that's been ongoing for a long time. So people have always found access to guns, but it's about the responsible use and the responsible selling of guns. That's the problem.
So you think they should do wellness checks on customers who get guns?
I don't know if we need to go that far. I just think there needs to be an age limit and also very thorough background checks, which could possibly include medical records as far as mental health.
What kind of rules do you think would help make sure guns are used safely by kids and teenagers?
The only guns that I would recommend that kids or teenagers use are hunting rifles and things like that, where they're learning to hunt for food and those types of things. Other than that, I don't think kids or teens should touch guns ever.
What about self-defense and say they were in a single-parent household and their parent was at work late at night?
Mm-hmm. That's a tough one, right? If you know how to use it, if you have access to it, guns should be locked away. So that's a very case-by-case question. I would say if someone has training in using a gun, then if they need to defend themselves, absolutely. One of the worst things that can happen is someone grabbing a gun that doesn't know how to use a gun, has never taken a gun safety training. That could end up very badly.
Do you think just hunting rifles should be used for all ages?
Until someone's old enough to understand the use of guns, handguns, and other type of rifles and things like that. But hunting, teaching people how to hunt, outdoorsmanship and things like that has always been a good way to teach people about gun safety and the proper use of guns.
Where can we find you?
You can find me at Manley Home Team. You can also find me at Charles Manley. I'm a local realtor here in Columbia, and I run a real estate team here in Columbia and also in Charlotte. You can find me on my website at manleyhometeam.com.
Well, thanks for having me today. We're thankful for having you today. This is the end of Kids Club Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.